My phone is here not because I'm going to make calls, but just because I'm minding the time. There's lots to be covered today. I wish there was a way I didn't have to hide behind the podium. It feels very disorienting to be separated like this. Thank you, Esther, and thank you for organizing this. I know that, yes, tremendous amount of effort and hard work and vision went into this. So I really appreciate it, and I'm happy to be here. I'm going to have a little piece of paper. You know, if I was talking here for 3 hours or 3 days, I wouldn't need any papers. But to fit everything in 30 minutes, I have to have something. So first of all, I want to also name, as we are sitting here with our hearts kind of connected, I want to name that this is day 165 to the war. I want to have this space also be a place where we hold all the people who are still held there and their families who are also being held hostage since then, and life has stopped for them. And I want to hold our soldiers, that without whom we wouldn't be able to be here, gathering like this, and send, and send refuah shlema to all who are still struggling in the hospitals. So I'm here to talk about IFS, which is the acronym of Internal Family Systems. And in thinking of how am I going to kind of introduce something that's intricate and sort of big, in 30 minutes, I thought maybe I'll try and do something a little different. Maybe I will just say, just to kind of have a framework, IFS, Internal Family Systems, is a psychotherapy model that was created by Dr. Richard Schwartz, a psychologist from Chicago, Illinois, in the late 80s. So if it started in the late 80s, it's not so very new. It's 30, almost 40 years old. But it has really taken time to kind of grow and become known. So as Esther said in my little bio, I kind of joined IFS in kind of early years. So it grew very gradually, slowly. And then something happened. And about 10 years ago, IFS started to explode in the world of mental health. It is now one of the most sought after model for people, first of all, for professionals to learn. In many places in the world, there are huge wait lists. Professionals are waiting, for years sometimes on wait lists that are thousands and thousands of people long. In America, they only can get in, through a lottery to an IFS training for professionals. People, from all over the world are seeking IFS mental health professionals to care for them. So there's something very special that has happened in the world that is now looking to have something like IFS be so well, to come and to be so well received. And I will address that in a few moments. But I thought that maybe the first thing that I would want to try and do is offer a little exercise, because I hope that the exercise will help me illustrate why it is special and why am I here all together, at least here in this hall, not all together. So I want to invite you, and again, I hope you'll indulge me and play along. I want to invite you to think of a behavior of yours that you're not so proud of, all right? Something that happens not often, because you're a wonderful person, but it does happen occasionally, and when that happens, you're not very proud of it. You actually end up feeling a little regretful, sometimes even a bit shamed that happened. You wish it wouldn't happen again, but it does. These are situations where you feel that, like I lost control. I was out of control in some way. Like I was hijacked by this experience, and I couldn't help it. I wish I could. Just for examples, maybe like those of you who have a tendency for road rage. You drive, something awful happens, somebody does the most obnoxious thing. It's Israel, it does happen here. And you just become infuriated. You can almost kill that person. You find yourself do all kind of crazy things yourself on the road, just as a reaction to this road rage. Or not road rage, just rage. You find yourself throwing a hissy fit, a tantrum. You've kind of lost it. Or you find yourself, after you've been dieting beautifully, just standing over the counter eating a whole bucket of ice cream. Why? Or you go to the mall and you shop way too much and you buy way more than you can afford and things you'll never wear. What was that about? Why did I do that? Oh, you overslept. Or you overindulge in something, just something that kind of took over. So spend a few moments, try to reflect on that thing in your system that occasionally comes up and you feel like you really didn't have much control over it. So I'm inviting you to kind of think of that, imagine that. You know what that is. And I would say, conceptualize that thing that happens to you occasionally, that kind of takes over you, hijacks you, as a part of you. It's like a part of you. It's not all of you. It's not your best part, maybe, but it's a part of you that every now and then comes, takes over, kind of takes your system, and you're doing it. You're angry, you're overdoing something, or you're underdoing something. If that's a part of you, see if you can, kind of inside of you, connect with this part. Make some contact with this part. Whether it's your angry part, your sugar-loving part, your over-shopping part, your oversleeping part, whatever that part is. And see if you can ask it, just offer a question internally, kind of like just float the question inside your mind. Ask the part, how are you trying to help me when you make me do this thing that you make me do? How are you trying to be helpful to me when you do that? Just let the question echo internally. Let an answer emerge. Don't think about it. Don't figure it out. Just see if there's an answer that comes from the part, from inside. You may hear voices saying, it's not helpful at all. How could that be helpful? It makes so much damage. These would be other parts saying that. The actual part will tell you how it is trying to be helpful to you when it makes you do that. More specifically, you can ask the part, what pain are you trying to protect me from when you make me do that? What pain are you trying to protect me from when you make me do that? Have a tantrum, overspend, oversleep, yell. And see if you can come up, if the answer can show up in you. What is the pain this part is trying to protect you from? So I hope that some of you have connected. Some of you may do it later on your own time. What I'm trying to illustrate here is that, first of all, one of the tenets of IFS is that we are all containers of multiple parts. It's the multiplicity of the mind. There are many parts to us, which really explains beautifully the complexity of the human experience. Why we can be so many different things. Why are we this way? And the next hour we're totally different, and we say this, and a day later we're totally on the opposite end. And how is that possible? Complexity is because we have so many different parts. Now, quickly, I'll just say parts for IFS is things that you are used to thinking of as emotions, feelings, like the angry part, the scared part, the anxious part, the happy part. So parts, feelings. Parts are also what you consider as personality traits, characteristics, not emotions, but characteristics, like your pleasing part, your perfectionistic part, your conflict-avoiding part, your critical part. So these are more personality traits, characteristics. These are all parts. Parts are these internal entities that are very, very full and complete. Each part carries a story, carries history, carries a purpose. So if we were connecting with an angry part, for instance, And just in the exercise that I've invited you to do, I would ask an angry part and I will say, what are you afraid would happen if you didn't make me throw a fit every time such a thing happens? Or what is the pain you're trying to protect me from when you make me throw a hissy fit? The part will say, I believe that if you do not yell and shout, these people will not pay attention to you. They will walk all over you. They would not mind at all your feelings and your thoughts and your needs. And I will say to the part, and what would happen then? And the part will say, you would feel like nobody. You would feel like you don't matter. Like your existence matters nothing because they don't mind you at all. The part says, you would feel worthless and powerless. So I come and we yell and we shout and we throw a fit. Everybody notices us. Everybody has to mind us. I protect you from feeling small, worthless, and powerless. Kudos to my part. Who wants to feel powerless, worthless? Nobody. We don't want to feel that. That's very painful. Our parts, each of them, has a reason why they do what they do. Now, some of them do it in extreme ways, like an angry part that throws fits. Some of them do it in very quiet, mild, ongoing ways. Like, if I am a conflict avoider, I will never go into conflict with people. I'll always be nice. I won't tell them when they hurt me or upset me. My conflict avoider part will say, I make you do that, avoid conflicts, even though sometimes inside you are burning, but you're not going to say anything because you don't want to get into a conflict. Because if you'll get into a conflict, people may attack you. They may say nasty things to you. They will hurt you. They will reject you. Again, you would feel unworthy, unloved, alone. Let's not go there. I will protect you from that by being always nice, always pleasant, never upsetting anyone. Our parts are there to support us, to help us, and the main thing they try to do is to prevent us from feeling pain. So much of what goes on for us is an elaborate pain prevention system. And the pain that our parts are trying to prevent us from experiencing is either old pain that we're holding inside of us, and we don't want it to keep coming back and flood us, traumas, backstories, and new pain. Our parts are trying to make sure that people don't reject us, don't humiliate us, don't make us feel bad. And then you think, is that possible? Are we here on this earth, in this physical experience, just to prevent pain, to suffer pain, and then spend the rest of our life avoiding the old pain from flooding us and new pain to come? That's the whole existence? It doesn't make sense. IFS says, no, there is more to us than just how we deal with pain. IFS acknowledges the existence of that which we call the self. In IFS, it's the self with a capital S. Self is a concept that other models have used. IFS uses it in a very special way. And this is why IFS is considered a psycho-spiritual therapy model. Okay? It's a psycho-spiritual model because it brings spirituality into the realm of the treatment. Up until maybe 30 years ago, maybe a little bit more, the field of psychology just thought about the psyche. The psyche was disconnected from spirituality, disconnected from the body. It was just the psyche. We've moved from that. Again, I think about 30 years ago, the body entered the scene, and we started to understand that, you can't separate the body from the psyche. We live in a body. It's such an intense experience. It's here for us. And lately, and I can't even say since when, the spirit has also joined the scene, finally. That a person is also, someone who has spiritual realm to them, spiritual capacity, spiritual existence. And you cannot look at a person in a holistic way without acknowledging that. So the self, through the IFS lens, is actually our essence, our pure, original, authentic essence. When we were created, and whatever the moment of creation is, before we had pain, and therefore before we had all the mechanisms and all the parts to deal with the pain, who were we? What were we? What was the essence of us before we suffered pain? That is the essence of us. So our self holds certain qualities, it holds our authentic essence, and it holds our connection to the divine and to the dimensions and the spheres that are beyond us, because this is not the only place of existence. There are so many dimensions and spheres. We have ancestors, we have God, we have so much that we are connected to. This is where we connect from. We connect when we have this capacity to connect with ourselves, this inner source in us. That's when we get connected this way. So for IFS, the self is the right leader of a person's system. When our parts operate only in reaction to pain prevention, we are like, an orchestra without a conductor. The musicians may be awesome, each of them perfect with their tool, so our perfectionistic part is amazing. Our pleasing part is wonderful. Our hard learning part is brilliant. But each musician without a conductor, just kind of doing their own thing with their instrument, creates cacophony. It's not the right music. When you have the right conductor, you can really use all the skills and all the talents to create beautiful music. How is it relevant to what I'm saying here? When we look at mental illness, and IFS does not work with the DSM, does not pathologize, because whatever the presentation of the person is, whatever it is, for us, it's parts doing what they're doing. So when you look at psychotic parts, for instance, these are parts. Psychotic episodes are actually created by parts. Think of yourself, and many times I've heard people say that, when people come and they talk, it's everyday talk, people say, you know what, I don't know what happened to me. I behaved like a crazy person. Oh my God, I thought I was losing my mind because I was this and that and this and that. We all have extreme parts that take us to places that feel quite extreme for us, and we're like, whoa, what happened to me? How'd they do that? Psychotic parts are parts that go a little bit beyond, and they disconnect the person from reality in order to protect the person. Their way of managing the pain, whatever it is that is going on, is by creating a psychotic episode, because psychotic episode really disconnects the person from the reality, whether it's auditory, visual, whatever the psychotic outburst is. It's a way that the parts chose to disconnect from reality. Suicidal parts are the same. A suicidal part basically says, the pain is too much, I'll take you out. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to stop your pain. Let's go out all together, let's end it. When you understand that the most intense symptomatology is actually parts with good intentions, it changes everything. No part is trying to really kill a person. Suicidal parts, self-harm parts, their intention is not to kill the person. Their intention is to stop the pain. When they see no other way, they offer that. They offer the person to cut, to burn, to pull their hair, or to kill themselves altogether just to manage the pain. This is when the orchestra is lacking the conductor. What we try to do when we work with IFS is help people connect with that internal leader, with the internal healer, which is their self. The most hopeful thing that IFS holds for us is that everyone, absolutely everyone, has self. We were all created b'tselem. We were all created in the same way. Nobody came from Mars. We all have that in us. Our work is to try and connect people to that essence inside of them. And the way we do it is by being extremely respectful, interested, curious, and caring towards their parts. We sometimes use the analogy or the metaphor of a very cloudy day, like today. Now, it's very cloudy, it's rainy, there is no glimpse of the sun. Do we not believe the sun exists? Do we think there is no sun? That's it, there's clouds, there's nothing behind the clouds? No, we know the sun is there. We know that once those clouds dissipate, we will see the sun. And maybe in the beginning, it will be just a teeny break in the clouds. We'll just see one light beam. And afterwards, a little bit more space, a little bit more light. And after that, maybe totally clear sky, big sun. Everyone has a self in them. Everybody was created with that. Our hope is to help people, and particularly people that are in extreme parts, that create psychotic episodes that create something that requires hospitalization, to help them understand themselves in this way. IFS process is a process of helping the client or the patient, depending how you want to call them, connect to their self-energy, to that source in them, and from that to start to treat their system in the most respectful, in the most loving, and in the most kind way. It is very hopeful when we think about this, because you realize that you can have people become much more empowered when you tell them the healing is in you. The meds are not the healers. And, the professor that was here before totally, would agree with that. The doctors and the therapists are not the healers. The healing is in you. You are the healer. It's in yourself. And what our hope and intention is in caring for people like this is to help, again, respectfully take care of their parts, listen to their parts, and help those parts slowly start to realize, hey, there is something else in this system. I am not here by myself guarding the person from pain and from harm. There is a bigger entity inside here, a self. And I can defer to that entity inside of the person. And I can let go a little bit, and I can relax, and I don't have to work so hard at creating protection from pain, because here that self can do it. Self offers certain qualities that are really, really important. Qualities like compassion, curiosity, courage, calmness, creativity. And when you think about all these traits of the self, especially, and as I said, a connection to the divine, you realize that all of them are here to facilitate connection. Our purpose is to connect. Our meaning is to connect. We heal through connection. Everything is relational. Our relationship with the divine, it's a relational experience. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So for mental health professionals, as well as for families of people that have been diagnosed with mental health issues, the relationship is so important. When we can have a relationship with them that is respectful, that is compassionate, that is curious rather than know-it-all, that, as Pesach said, you really want to understand the psychotic part. What does it believe? What are these voices? What do the voices say? What is the part afraid would happen if it didn't open up the door to these voices and to their message? When we start to understand parts, we start to appreciate them, we start to respect them. When they feel the respect and the appreciation, they can slightly start to relax. The minute they relax, it's like the cloud has dissipated a little bit. The minute parts relax and step off a little bit to the side from holding, the fort so tightly, you can have more self-energy. The person feels a little calmer, a little more spacious, with a little bit more hope, with a little bit more self-agency, with a little bit sense of, I can do this. IFS is important, and again, the psycho-spiritual angle of IFS is also important, because my belief is that in the field of therapy, we're not just trying to heal people from their wounds and to put them back on a normal life track, whatever that is. I feel that the real healing is when people can also find the purpose for their life. As I said, we're not here just to avoid and prevent pain from ourselves or from others. We are here because we were brought here with a purpose. And in the process of therapy, when you're able to help people find the reason for their life, the purpose, the unique gifts that they were chosen to bring here, that actually really allows people to navigate life in a different way. When you know that you are of very unique and special worth here, you are here to serve, you are here to bring something to this world. When we help our clients understand what that is, find that way, find their path, we actually really offer healing, very deep healing. So when you know that there is such a thing as self, and you start to connect with that, and the people have more and more of kind of self-presence, they get they get this meta perspective over their lives They get the meta perspective about their suffering, why they had to go through the trauma, through the suffering that they had to. Because now they can put it to good use. They can put it, to serve others. So again, helping people connect with the self helps them to get this higher perspective over their lives, really helps them make a very healthy and meaningful life. For me, this is important, obviously, for people who are dealing with mental health issues and people who are supporting them. And these would be family members, because family members obviously have their own parts. And when we deal with hardship, like a family member who's struggling, we have a lot of parts around it. People that have been labeled as, having mental health issues have whatever issue they have, and they have parts about the issue, parts that tell them, you are different, something's wrong with you, you can't be with everybody, you're a disappointment to your family, you make your family sad. These are very burdensome parts. These are also parts that are trying to shape, trying to control, but these are very painful parts that cause a lot of pain. So when we understand the notion of parts, we can really hold in a much better way the complexity of a person. There is no one thing that defines a person. There's no one part that defines a person. A person is not their parts. A person is much more than that. And parts are not just their stories and their behaviors. It's important for me to say, we are first of all about safety. So for the safety of the person and the people around them, if people need to be, of course, medicated, if they need to be hospitalized, we're all for it, because we don't want anyone to be in danger. But when things are a little more stable, and when you can start connecting and talking and relating to the person, we really recommend offering this perspective, so a person can start finding in themselves that light, that strength, that hope, that healing agent. IFS is research-based. People think that the minute you said, spiritual, you threw away science. No, lo and behold, it can all be there together. So IFS is a research-based model, and a lot of the new neuroscience research and the fact that the field of neuroscience can offer so much now shows, again, IFS process, IFS trauma resolution protocol actually really produces, changes in the plasticity of the brain, so it's a real thing. But spirituality is a real thing. It's part of the wholeness that, you think of a person. So IFS being a very holistic model and a very humanistic model really offers an approach that allows not just people to heal, but also the people who work with them not to get burnt out, not to get drained, not to get, discouraged after years of doing that. I want to maybe just say that, just want to make sure I said everything in the short amount of time that I had. I want to say that when you kind of live with IFS, it is not something that you just do at your clinic or at your office or at the ward that you work at. You are with that, because IFS is not just a psychological model that you use in your office. You lock the door, you go home, and you don't think about it till the next day. It's a lens. It's a lens through which you understand yourself, you understand others, you understand the world, you understand relationship. And so it becomes who you are. And that way, as mental health professionals, it becomes something that's very congruent for us. And we live with that, and we take it to our home, to our families, to our relationship, and we offer it to our clients. Because therapy is a human exchange, is a human relationship. And, the fact that this person came here and they need this kind of help doesn't mean that I won't need similar kind of help someday, in a different place. So knowing that everyone has self and everyone has parts and we're all trying to deal with pain is a way for us as professionals to be humble and to be open to where the other person is. I want to maybe complete my presentation with a very, very brief poem that I feel holds that perspective of IFS, and it's called a medicine woman's prayer. I will not rescue you, for you are not powerless. I will not fix you, for you are not broken. I will not heal you, for I see you in your wholeness. I will walk with you through the darkness as you remember your light. So, thank you.